Hey guys, let's talk a little bit about the importance of reward placement and the impact it has on your dog's performance. For those of you wondering, I am using the MCRS Magnet Ball Training System, and I will have that training system available on my website, the ball and the magnets, by the end of July 2021, because I know a lot of you will ask, and that will be available to anybody in Canada and the United States. Anyways, moving forward to the topic at hand. Where the reward is and where you deliver it can impact the dog's performance either positively or negatively. It's important to understand this. So here you see me using the magnet ball up on my left shoulder, and what I'm working on with my dog here is head position and also his frame. So where his body is in relation to me and how quickly he falls into his frame of the focused heel next to me. Now, with this dog, getting him to show the visual picture that I like to see in the heeling has been a little bit challenging ever since puppyhood. Some dogs will naturally offer you a very nice body position and will show very nice action through the rear end to the front end. You know, they'll have what we call fancy feet, so to speak, and they offer this naturally. He has never been a dog that did that for me. I think it's his physical build. And maybe some behavioral proclivities he has. He looks up, no problem. So usually where the problem is where the dog is looking. The dog has a good fixed point. You know, he looks up at my shoulder, and that's never been the issue. The problem with him is that he can actually put his head down and still look up, and then that ruins the action through the front end. I like the dog to drive through the rear end and have that power basically exploding out the front of his body, which leads to that really nice action in the front end. For this, his chin needs to be elevated, and he needs to be really using the hind legs a lot, and just showing a lot of power forwards and up, not down and to the right. So what a lot of dogs want to do is kind of lean on your leg and turn their head in towards you to look at your face, and that's not actually incorrect, but I'm looking for more than correct. I'm looking for something that's a visual stunner, so to speak. So what I'm chasing here is that, and that's why I'm spending a lot of time on my focused heeling, really making sure that the dog is in the right frame before I progress the dog. So you see me using a lot of very short repetitions. I take a couple steps, I ask the dog to spin to the left, and that spin to the left encourages the dog to get off the left leg, so to get off my left leg, and to keep his head more straight instead of kind of tilting his head in towards me. So that's why I do that spin to the left and then the reward. Now the ball is up on my shoulder, okay, and that's going to create a little bit more elevation in the head, and then you'll notice I always throw the ball to my left side and back. So again, the dog is anticipating not only through the spin to the left, but he's also anticipating the reward to the left and back. And that's also impacting his head position and his body. Again, he's a dog who naturally wants to turn his head in towards me and to lean a little bit more. And for me, that is not the picture that I want. So I'm really working very hard to ensure that that's not a habit he develops, because it'll be a very difficult habit to break once the dog develops that. So I'm also using the heeling stick to ensure that he keeps that elevated head position. Again, he's not a dog that likes to elevate his head very much. He can look up without elevating his head, so that's something that we're working on, and that's why I chose to begin putting the ball up on my shoulder. You'll see me sometimes put it in the back pocket of my vest, because that's where we put the food in the training, and sometimes I go back to that. I don't want him to be completely addicted to the ball being up on my left shoulder, but I'm also making him believe that the ball is often up there, because I think it's going to improve the elevation of his head, and I'm going to get a little bit more action in the front and a little bit harder work from the rear end of the dog, which is what I'm after. So again, now you'll see me here put the ball in my back pocket, and again you're going to see how I'm asking here for a front. And by the way, sometimes you'll see me doing things other than heeling. So it was a front to a finish, so I'm working on a transition there. And then also you'll notice in the spin, I make sure that the dog finishes the spin and comes next to me completely, because we began to develop some problems in his rear end awareness when I wasn't making him finish the spin. Right? So it's important, if you're going to do the spin, you make the dog spin all the way back into the position before you deliver the reward. Otherwise, you may notice that the dog begins to crab and his rear end is a little bit out and to the left, which is going to lead to a crooked sit in the basic position, which is not something that you want. So here I'm making my reps a little bit longer. I'm seeing kind of where he wants to be in terms of his natural frame. All dogs have a natural frame, right? And his natural frame happens to be ugly. So I'm trying to work on that a little bit to ensure that the frame that he decides to finally settle in on when I really start pushing this heeling is going to be a good one. And when I start extending the duration of these heels, and you can see right there, he really offers a very good rear end rear end awareness there. The dog is really offering me now what I want to see. I think I'm always going to have a little bit of a tilt of the head inwards, as long as he maintains the action in the front and he doesn't really begin leaning on my leg. I'll be happy. So this is the perfect position. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I want. Of course, I'm jogging a little bit here. And again, I don't like to do the same thing over and over again monotonously. So you'll see here, and you'll see here, even though the ball was in my back pocket, I still reach up to the shoulder because I want him thinking up, 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 right? It's always up. And the more he thinks up and the more he habitually expects the ball high, the better you're going to see the work from the dog. And again, I'm just doing a little front here. Again, I really stress this. When I'm working on something, I still do other things in the session just to keep the dog's mind open and active. There you see he came into a bad frame. I asked him to spin to the left. The second he starts pushing on me, or I see the head coming in a little bit too much, I say spin to the left, spin to the left. And that expectation of the left hand spin really helps the dog to stay straight, and it creates, in my opinion, a better body position overall. And you see that the frame that the dog settles in is better. So in the beginning of the session, you'll notice I didn't let him settle into frame. I took 1 or 2 steps, spin to the left, reward, 1 or 2 steps, spin to the left, work a little, another couple steps, then spin to the left again. And the reason why is because if you let the dog settle into a frame, so you basically say, let's do like 20 steps of heeling right off the hop. If he's not settling into a good frame, like the rhythm that he's in and the head position and the body position he's in is not what you want, then that's what's becoming fixed in the dog's behavioral expression within that specific behavior. So that's not something I want. So in the beginning, whenever I'm working on fixing something, or when I'm just working on training something, I ask for the thing that I'm working on in a very brief period. Then I immediately deliver the reward where I think it's going to benefit the behavior the best. So whether it's a front, whether it's heeling, you'll notice very quick delivery of the reward. It's not about going 100 steps in the beginning. It's about making the correct behavior in the beginning, rewarding that behavior, and then extending the duration. And even when I go to an extension of the duration, you'll see I go back to a lot of short reps and quick rewards.